Your life is actually really good. Your career is moving, you're winning there. Your relationship is thriving. Your home is great. Your family is growing. You're disciplined, your standards are high. Maybe you even feel like you have pretty good habits and routines. You take care of yourself. And yet, fitness is the one area of your life that still feels stuck. Your body isn't a reflection of all of that, not just in how it looks, but more importantly, in how you feel. The scale isn't moving. Your body composition feels harder to change than ever. You're more inflamed, bloated, tired. You've gained weight that you can't lose no matter how hard you try. You used to be able to lose 10 pounds with ease, and now nothing is working. And deep down, there's this quiet frustration because you're thinking, why does this feel harder when everything else in my life is finally clicking? And maybe you're even putting yourself into the shame spiral of convincing yourself that you should be able to figure this out on your own because you've done that in the other areas of your life. The truth is, what all of this is boiling down to is that what used to work for you when you were 22, when you could just push yourself harder, eat less, train more, and stay lean, is not going to work for you at 32. In this new season of your life, where there are multiple different variables at play in terms of your health, your lifestyle, and even your strategy that need to be accounted for you to successfully be able to change your body and maintain it. And that leaves you in this constant search for, okay, if what worked for me in the past isn't going to work anymore, then what will? And as a hyper independent, self sufficient go getter that you are, you're so used to just being able to figure it out on your own. When you try and you fail over and over and over again, you continue to eat away at your self trust and your confidence and your connection with your body and dig yourself into this hole where at this point you're avoiding fitness and health, avoiding those goals altogether, settling for good enough, or staying stuck in crash dieting cycles. We're putting an end to that. That is what this episode is all about. So if you are a woman out there wondering, why is fitness the last missing piece for me that's not falling into place as a high achieving, high performing woman who's been able to figure everything else out so far, that's the question that I hope to answer for you today. And it's likely the biggest mistake that you've been making is resorting to what you used to do before. More intensity, brute forcing your body to change. If I work harder and do more, I'll be more successful because that's what's worked for you, not just in the past, but also in all the other areas of your life up until now. And you're finally realizing that that's not working anymore. And the definition of doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, is insanity, right? Which is why you need a new strategy. The disconnect is not in your work ethic. It's how your work ethic is being applied to nutrition and fitness and even just your overall daily habits. So today we're going to break down exactly how your strategy needs to change after age 25 as your body is maturing and your life has gotten a lot fuller. Okay? So the first thing that needs to change for you is that you need to start taking a more metabolically conscious approach. So you've spent years dieting, under eating, pushing through without any real strategy to fitness other than a calorie deficit. And that changes when you are metabolically adapted, which it's likely that you are. I have looked at hundreds of dietary recalls over the course of the past 6 years, and I can say with confidence that 90% of them were under eating. A majority of them unintentionally under eating. You're under eating without even realizing it because you're too busy or you're eating healthy, but it's just not enough calories for your body. 1,200 to 1,500 calories is not enough and certainly not a good starting place for fat loss. Because what happens when you undereat for years, your metabolism downregulates. This is your body doing what it is supposed to do when it isn't getting the resources that it needs. This is not your body working against you. This is you working against it. And it is your responsibility to fix this. Because a metabolism that is downregulated, meaning you are burning less calories at rest, also comes with hormone, gut issues, a poor relationship with food. You're wired but tired, you're crashing by 2 p.m., you're struggling to have a bowel movement, you feel soft in your physique despite all the training efforts. Your body just isn't responding how you want. This is a very common normal response when your body thinks it's in famine. This is starvation mode, survival mode, a slow metabolism, however you want to resonate with it. It's turning on mechanisms or turning down mechanisms so that it can keep energy to prioritize the things that it needs for survival. So it's decreasing the amount of energy that you expend, making it much harder for you to be in a calorie deficit for fat loss. And again, this is the number one thing that I see with women who I work with inside of Define, and where 99% of women need to start after 25, when you have been dieting on and off for your whole teenage years in college. You need to reset your metabolic capacity in a metabolic reset phase, because As your metabolism downregulates, it can also upregulate with proper nutrition and dietary changes, with using a reverse diet and making modifications to your lifestyle to help your body use food more optimally instead of store it for survival needs. And this is my absolute favorite place to coach clients because not only do you start feeling better when you have more calories to work with, simultaneously, we're also breaking down old beliefs that most women have around food, exercise, your body in real time as you're learning how to properly nourish yourself without diet mentalities or rules or restriction, how you are learning to prioritize recovery and the importance of that to open up your capacity to be able to not just stay healthy, but also continue to grow in your career in these other areas of your life that are already thriving. How you learn how to work with your body instead of against it. And that is what helps it actually start changing. So this is shift number one that you need to start making in your fitness journey, is you need to start taking a more metabolically conscious approach. And even if you want to extend that out further, it's not just conscious around your metabolism. Well, that is the link between your hormones and gut and fat loss. We can also talk about taking a conscious approach around hormones and gut issues that may potentially be a deeper root cause as to why your metabolism isn't functioning in the way that we would need it to lose body fat. So that's number one. Number two is flexibility has to replace rigidity in this season. I'm talking to all of my all or nothing, high levels of perfectionism, black and white thinking, I'm on or I'm off, rigid control women who are either perfect with protocols or you're just downward spiral. The part of the conversation that applies to health and fitness, but also this is the part of the conversation that will apply to every other area of your life, because chances are this all or nothing mentality doesn't just come in regards to food and exercise, but you're also noticing that it's a pattern that you feel victim to in your career, in your work, in overworking, struggling to allow yourself permission to rest, in pushing yourself into these extremes of black and white, really struggling to live in the gray. This is one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn coming out of the bodybuilding space, because that sport, it did require an extra level, an extra oomph of all in without any real wiggle room or flexibility. But that approach is not what's required to live an exceptionally fit and healthy life. In fact, I would argue that it's not just not required, it's actually counterproductive to living an exceptionally fit and healthy life, because that's not living your life. That is being a slave or a victim to diet rules, mentality, food, meal prep, and living in the gym. It's such an obsessive and restrictive approach that it is not healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, anything. So this is both a shift in your habits, breaking those all or nothing mentalities and all or nothing behaviors, but also an unlearning and relearning around how you define success in fitness that allows you to really start to win in this gray, not in the extremes. This season of your life truthfully looks a lot different. You do not have the same amount of time, energy, mental capacity to give to fitness. You have a jam-packed calendar. You're juggling more responsibilities. You naturally have a higher stress load. You just have more in your life, ideally good things. You're thriving. So you're not going to be able to follow the same rigid protocols that you were when you were 21 with none of that. It's just unrealistic to expect of yourself, which is what's keeping you stuck in this constant pendulum swing of all or nothing cycles, restarting over every other week. Your nutrition is going to have to become a lot more simplified. Your training is going to have to become a lot more intentional. Your sleep and your stress is going to have to be more protected, which all requires you to be more flexible and less rigid. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. So I wanted to give you some tips for this. First mindset shift that I give to every client here is breaking the all or nothing mentality and shifting into an all or something mentality. If you're like me, you do like to go all in, and that is okay. You can have days where you are 110%, but let's be realistic. There's also going to be days that you cannot give 110%, and you need to be able to pivot accordingly and still do something. So you're shifting from an all or nothing to an all or something. There's still something that you can prioritize. There are still that list of non-negotiables that you can do regardless of the external circumstances that are going on in your day or your life. So for example, all or nothing would be, if I can't work out, I'm not going to move my body at all. All or something is I can't work out, but I'm still going to go for a 30-minute walk today. That is an all or something mentality. Or with nutrition, it's like I can't track my calories and my macros super accurately because I'm going to be traveling today. And so I'm just going to go all in and just eat whatever I want. No, you can still make 1% healthier choices, prioritize 3 balanced meals that are jam-packed with healthy, nutrient-dense, whole foods, fiber, and protein. And that's still going to keep you on track towards your goals. And so you need to have a pivot plan. I always say that there are tiers to the plan of, or to staying in routine, staying on track. There is the perfect plan that is like the best plan. Then there's a better plan that's not necessarily the best, but it's better than nothing. And then there's a good plan. Figure out what those tiers need to look like for you so you have a backup, and you have a backup to the backup. You have a pivot strategy, a pivot plan. Another thing to remember here around breaking the all or nothing cycle is the power is in closing the gap between falling off track and getting back on. Or I don't even like the terms falling off track, and we'll get to point 3 here in a second as to why I don't, but it's closing the gap between falling out of routine and getting back into routine. So yes, there's going to be days or weeks where you're only operating at 70%, and that is okay. It's how quickly can you bounce back to being able to give 100%? How quickly can you close that gap? That's number 2. And my number 3 tip here is to really allow yourself to define the 20% of 80-20 balance. So yeah, there's some days that we're giving 100%. There's some days we can only give 70%. There's some days we're giving 80%. There's some days we're giving 60%. And that is okay. Overall, as a whole, when we zoom out and we look at the big picture, you should be following an 80-20 balance, at least at the bare minimum, to really see change in your physique. So I don't just want you to define what the 80% looks like and what it looks like to stay on track, but I also want you to be clear on what's the 20% look like. What's the flexibility that I do give myself permission to have? What does that look like? Is that looking like, every one day a week, this is what I program for all my clients. It's like one day a week, typically that's Friday or Saturday or Sunday for my clients, because you don't track anything. You take a break from the numbers and MyFitnessPal and tracking. That's how we practice 20% inside of my coaching program. Is 6 days of the week, you're showing up, you're tracking your macros, you're staying consistent with your targets, and then you have one day that you can just take a break from it. Other times, or for other clients, it's like, hey, my 20% looks like having a sweet treat every single night, or going out to eat, or figure out what that 20% needs to look like for you, okay? That is how you break the all or nothing mentalities, getting really clear on what all or something means for you in your routines, and also setting up strategies and even accountability for yourself to close the gap between falling out of routine and getting back into it. So that's number 2, is flexibility has to replace rigidity in this season of your fitness journey. And then number 3 is your reminder that mental and emotional regulation is no longer optional. At this stage of your life, it's no longer acceptable for you to push through your body's symptoms, to shove down your emotions, and to normalize stress as a personality trait. You cannot out-diet chronic stress. You cannot out-train a dysregulated nervous system, which means fat loss can no longer live in the box of diet and exercise alone. We have to look outside of that. Look at the other habits, routines, and things that you're doing to support your mental and emotional well-being. This isn't about adding a bunch of random self-care habits. This is about being very intentional about recovery, physical recovery, mental recovery, and emotional recovery. Because you've experienced this, your body's just simply less tolerant to bullshit now. And honestly, that's a good thing, right? When you were in your late teens and early 20s, your body was wildly resistant. You could undersleep, overcaffeinate, undereat, overtrain, live in a constant state of stress, and still get away with all of it. Was it healthy? No. Did your body like it? Also, no, but your body tolerated it. And you weren't necessarily immune to it. You were just buffered from the side effects that were all kind of going on during that season. And now you're experiencing the consequences. Not only are you less tolerant to those things in today's day and age, or this season of your life, but also you're experiencing the consequences of all that you did 5-10 years ago to your body. Your body kept the receipts, and they're showing up as things like fat loss resistance, bloating, inflammation, low energy, wired but tired, poor sleep, waking up exhausted, irregular cycles, hormone symptoms, strong cravings, less tolerance for restriction, feeling like your body is suddenly high maintenance. This didn't happen overnight. This is a compounding effect of how you've been living for the past 10, 15 years. And it's not your body failing you like we talked about earlier. This is your body adapting and frankly refusing to sacrifice your long-term health anymore so that you can stay lean right now, or so that you can stay busy right now, or so that you can overwork and be successful right now. Burning yourself out, burning the candle at both ends. So this season, I don't want you to think of this as fixing a broken body. That's not what it is. It's about resolving all of the accumulated stress that's happened over time. That requires new tools that go beyond just diet and exercise. Not pushing yourself harder, not more effort, not more punishment, not more intensity, because fat loss at this stage isn't about seeing how well you can override your body. It's about learning how to listen to your body and work with it at a much higher level. It depends on your ability to regulate your nervous system, recover from stress, build resilience to stress so it's not so dysregulating to you from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you lay your head on the pillow at night. Really leading your body through this transformation instead of forcing it, partnering with your body instead of punishing it. And when you do that, fat loss stops feeling like a fight and it really starts reflecting the effort and stability that you've already built everywhere else in your life. Everywhere else in your life. So those are my 3 big changes that need to happen from 22 to 32 in this new season of your health journey. And I want to be very, very clear about something, okay? This is not about getting leaner for vanity, and you know that. You know that. And I'm not going to pretend that looking better does not impact your confidence and your happiness and how you show up in the world, because it 100% does. And I'm all here for you getting hotter. But if that is the only reason that you're chasing fat loss, you're going to continue to approach it in a way that burns you out. Because what this season is really about is building a body that can keep up with the life that you've already built, with the life that you're going to continue to build, continue to create, and continue to achieve, and continue to win, keep winning at. Think about what you're asking your body in this season. You want to perform at a high level in your career, be present in your relationships, think clearly, make good decisions, have emotional bandwidth to be a leader, handle stress without unraveling, expand your life, continue to grow. And that requires capacity, as I alluded to earlier. And capacity is built through health. Without your health, every area of your life is capped. When your energy is low, your patience is shorter, your leadership suffers, your presence is divided. When your hormones are dysregulated, your mood is less stable, your confidence takes a quiet hit, your resilience drops, your nervous system is fried. Everything feels harder than it needs to be. Small stressors feel overwhelming. You're surviving instead of leading, instead of thriving. That version of you cannot show up at the level that your life demands anymore. So this season is building a body that can keep up. It isn't just about optimizing for aesthetics at the expense of your health. It means fueling your body so that you can perform, think, live more fully, more clearly, more fulfilled. Recovering so that your energy is consistent. Regulating your nervous system so that stress doesn't run your life. Creating habits that compound over time, that aren't depleting you and burning you out. You're playing the long game. This is the decade where you really decide whether success will cost you your health or whether your health will support your success. Because fat loss, confidence, aesthetics, like those are bonuses. The real win here is becoming the woman whose body supports her ambition instead of limiting it. And I hope that that's what you can take from today's episode.